Good evening, everybody. My name is Tony Bova. I am co-founder and chief beard at GrowBioplastic's, where we have developed a biodegradable material from the waste product of the paper and biofuel industry for applications in agriculture and beyond. I'd like to introduce you to Albert. Albert has been growing fruits and vegetables in my community in East Tennessee for over 40 years. And when I last talked to him, he told me a story about how, quote, a few ugly fellas from the University of Tennessee came and taught him about plastic mulch films. Albert now uses these materials because they block weeds, retain moisture, and help him boost his crop yields by 2 to 5 times, severely cutting down on his management of weeding. When Albert told me that these two guys came along, he's been so happy with these results, he said that he knew that they were pretty smart because, quote, the ugly ones are always the smartest. But Albert has a problem. As happy as he is with these results, at the end of every year, he has over 8 tons of plastic that he has to remove from his field. At over $100 an acre, with his 100-acre farm, this costs him $10,000 a year that he's literally sending to the dump. Now, a recent article on NCA.com called the ag industry the biggest source of plastic waste that you've never heard of. And they're not wrong. With over 50,000 farmers like Albert in the United States, they produce enough plastic waste to wrap around the world over 100 times. Now, this isn't terrible because we have a solution. At GrowBioplastic's, we've turned to a material called lignin, which is the natural glue that holds plants together, and it is the primary byproduct of the paper and biofuel industry, produced at a rate of over 50 million tons a year. Now, these industries currently burn it or landfill it, and we're able to actually take this from them, offering them value over what they get now, and turn it into a biodegradable plastic with a patented process. We take this lignin powder that looks a whole lot like cinnamon that you see here, turn it into plastic pellets, and that can be dropped into almost any plastic processing technology that currently exists with existing polymer processing technology. We're starting with materials like these plastic mulch films because of the huge benefit that offers to people like Albert. He can use the same equipment to install his films. He can plant his crops with the same equipment. He can harvest with the same equipment. But at the end of the season, instead of paying people to go out by hand and rip this plastic up, worrying about it clogging up his farm equipment, breaking axles and bearings, he simply discs it or plows it into the ground, where it will actually break down naturally at a rate that we can tune based on his crop rotation needs. And now the best part of it all is when I told Albert about all of this, and I told him that we would be able to sell this material at the same price that he pays now while he can pocket the difference, he told me that I too is a pretty ugly fellow. Now, there are a few companies out there that are making greener materials to try and supplant these oil-based plastics in the market. They are made from materials like corn, which happen to be 2 to 3 times the cost, and those are often not biodegradable but compostable, which is not a set of conditions that actually occurs out in the field. The temperatures just don't get hot enough. There are also companies that are making materials based out of paper, which are actually 3 times as expensive, which is pretty prohibitive, and they actually are often not durable enough to last through rainy seasons or in particularly sandy soil conditions. At GrowBioplastic's, we have a solution that is not only cost-effective, but is also highly biodegradable in the soil and will meet the durability needs of our farmers. Now, with over 4.5 million acres of specialty crops in the United States, this market is ready for us to enter. At $6.5 billion globally, it's growing at 16% for the bioplastics category, which is more than twice that of the oil-based materials. We're planning on starting with these 3 primary crops here because it is almost industry standard for those growers to use these films. Now, in the eastern United States alone, this represents a $43 million recurring revenue opportunity, and once we get past our field trials and are able to reach out into places like California where there's even more growers, the sky is the limit at that point. We will sell through direct relationships that we develop with these farmers. We'll produce the materials with some of our supply channel partners, sell directly to them, which is slightly different than some of the competitors I showed you a moment ago. Those companies often sell their products to a distributor, like farmer buys from them, and they're kind of left on their own to figure out what to do. We want to have a video system on our website where they can see exactly how to use the product. They need to be able to have direct support from our sales team to know which products to buy based on their climatic zone, and then ongoing support for us to know that our products are working the way that we tell them they should be. Now, in 2017, we plan to launch our scale-up operations to demonstrate that we can produce these in mass quantity and have our pilots that we have at farmers' locations across the state and across the country throughout the end of that year. We will then take those pilot customers and turn them into some of our influencers to help us reach 2,500 acres by 2018, worth about $750,000 in revenue, and then scale from that, along with additional products that I'll show you in a second, to reach our sales goal of $9 million by 2020. Our team is comprised of myself. I'm a PhD student at the University of Tennessee. I have over 3 years working on these materials and 6 years of project management experience. My co-founder, Jeff Beagle, is a biosystems engineer with a background in microbiology. We met 6 years ago in undergrad at the University of Toledo, so we're transplants here, and we're really trying to make a difference with all of the sustainability-related projects we've worked on in the past and applying this now. Our chief financial and operations advisor has 40 years of experience at 6 different startups and is a super big advocate of us. And we also have a great science advisory board that includes the inventor of this technology and an expert in biodegradable plastic mulch films. Now, our success has been great. We've been in a number of different pitch competitions. We've raised over $70,000 from those in equity-free funding. We were a top 4 finalist in the Farm Bureau Rural Entrepreneurship Challenge. And just last month in October, we took the Audience Choice Award at South by Southwest Eco in Austin, and we're proud to be a part of this year's The 10 Squad. This has allowed us to develop significant relationships with places like Oak Ridge National Lab, the University of Tennessee, lignin suppliers like UPM and Inventia, and strategic partners for some of our bioplastics manufacturing like Full Cycle. And the best thing about all of that is we've been able to initiate contacts with customers like Driscoll's who have volunteered to help us test our materials on their farms, and there's not a week that goes by that I don't get an email asking, can I buy your stuff right now? So to get to that point where we can fulfill those requests, we need about $500,000 to fund our next 12 to 18 months of funding, bring on our first 2 employees, and get some critical equipment that we need to do scale up of manufacturing. By the summer of 2017, we plan to have our field trials in place, and by the end of that year, begin ramping up for what would be our first year of commercial sales. The future beyond this would be any sort of single-use plastics that you see in ag today, be it refuse bags, seed trays in greenhouses, and then plants and pots at nurseries, and then also in the horticulture industry. So again, my name is Tony Bova. I'm Chief Beard and co-founder at GrowBioplastic's. Jeff and I would love to talk to you after this about how you can help us, help the Alberts of the world, improve the sustainability of our food system, and close the loop on plastic waste. Thank you very much.